analog.
Well, let's dig deeper. Because our product helps to release many millions more of your own stem cells into the bloodstream, what effects can that have on anti-aging and staying younger longer and staying functional, not just regaining function, but staying like that?
Awesome. Great question. So we said that adult stem cells can differentiate or can turn into brand new cells of whatever sort. So the example we gave was a heart cell. It might be a toenail cell. It might be, well, I wish it was. It's not a hair follicle cell yet in my case. It might be a skin cell. It might be a cell in the macula in the back of my eyes that were damaged, for example. When I said brand new cell, that is what I meant. Let me explain that to you just a bit. Inside your cells, your DNA, your genes are organized into chromosomes, which are blobs of or lengths of base pairs of DNA, which are millions and millions and millions of base pairs long each. You've got X numbers of pairs of chromosomes in your body, in every one of your cells. Basically, every one of your cells contains all the DNA. There's a complete copy of it in every single cell. Cells differentiate into different jobs and do different things. The DNA in some cells, certain bits of the DNA becomes redundant in some cells, and in other cells, those particular genes work doing whatever those tissues are doing. It's all very, very clever. When a cell of any kind in your body divides, it divides into two. Okay, so you now have two cells of that kind, and sometimes cells die off for various reasons. Sometimes illness can kill them off, or injuries can kill them off, and so there is a sort of steady rate at which all the cell lines in your body all divide by this binary division methodology: split into two, split into two, split into two, split into two. Now, if your cells all did that ad infinitum forever, then you'd end up with too many cells. So there's a controlled rate at which they divide into two, but there's also, for every individual cell type, there's a set number of times that cell line can divide. And once it's divided that many times, it then becomes unviable, and that cell line will die off to be replaced with a new one from your adult stem cell supply in your bone marrow. Okay? When that cell divides into two, there's a little length, a little bitty, if you like, of DNA on the ends of each of your chromosomes. Think of it like the plastic thing around the end of the shoelaces on your shoes that stops your shoelaces from fraying. I forget what they're called, but they're those plastic things that run around the ends of your shoelaces. That's a telomere inside your chromosomes. It's called a telomere. Every time the cell divides into two, that telomere gets shorter. And then it divides again and it gets shorter, divides again and it gets shorter still. When that telomere is too short to stop that shoelace, that DNA from fraying, that's what happens. The cell basically dies because the DNA will fray into bits. It's no longer viable. Those cells then die off. So it's one of the reasons we age. It's one of the reasons that our tissues eventually fall to bits and we become decrepit and die at the end of our lives. When an adult stem cell replaces a cell that's damaged in the way that I was talking about earlier, that brand new cell, that new heart cell, that has a full length telomere.
Wow.
Because adult stem cells have an enzyme called telomerase, which rebuilds telomeres in between cell divisions. for that reason, adult stem cells are immortal. You can keep them in a lab, in a petri dish forever, and they'll keep dividing. They'll keep dividing for hundreds of years, for thousands of years.
Well, Bart,
because they have tolerance. Go on, Ian.
What you just said is so profound, Bart, because I've heard over the years telomeres, anti-aging. The world's anti-aging experts say if you want to stay younger longer, you've got to keep your telomeres at full length. So what you're saying, an adult stem cell not just makes a new, fresh, healthy cells, it makes a new, fresh, healthy, intact telomere as well.
Yeah.
That is just so profound.
It's incredible, isn't it? So that new tissue, that new heart cell that's just differentiated from the adult stem cell that's just joined my damaged heart tissue, for example, the biological age of that cell in my heart is 0.
Wow.
Not nearly 49 like the rest of me. It's brand new. So we have an inexhaustible supply of adult stem cells. You can never run out of them, ever.
And why is that?
However, well, the reason for it is because when your bone marrow is releasing stem cells, the process by which that occurs is there are some master stem cells that are bound to the tree of the bone marrow. Those master cells are never released. They are bound by a different protein that's, if you like, not cuttable. When it's time to release new adult stem cells, that master cell differential or binary division becomes 2 cells. The daughter cell is tied to the master cell by the L-selectin protein that we spoke about earlier. And then AFA comes along and snips that and releases it.
Wow.
Then what happens is the master cell at that stage then goes, whoops, I've lost my daughter cell, and it makes a new one with a new L-selectin, so it's tied to the tree, ready to go.
Wow. So when people ask me, if I keep taking too much of this product, will it deplete my bone marrow? What do you have to say to that?
Well, I've just given you the answer, really. The answer is no. You can never run out.
It's just remarkable.
Yeah, you can never run out.
Now, we do want to get into other products, but before we get into the other products real quick, let's dig deeper on some of the latest science on stem cells and what they do to help repair cells in different ways, because they have different actions.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. The deal with with why it is that we still age, even though we've got an inexhaustible supply of adult stem cells, as we were just saying, is not because you can ever run out. It's because your ability to release those adult stem cells goes down. The L-selectin protein gets thicker, it gets stronger, it gets harder to cut. It's programmed into your genes because actually you are supposed to age, you are supposed to fall to bits at the end of your life. Your physical body is supposed to die at some point. If you take our unbelievable products, if you take StemEnhance ULTRA on a daily basis, what you're actually doing is reinvigorating your body's ability to release the stem cells. So that gives you a higher level of circulating adult stem cells than you would have otherwise had. That means that any tissues that are damaged and in need of repair will sing out, if you like, to those adult stem cells and grab them, and they will bind, and then they will differentiate into new cells. So a larger proportion of your body is now age 0 and not age whatever age you are currently. So that's the telomere action. That's the true fountain of youth. That's the, while we can't make therapeutic claims, we can't say this product makes you younger. In effect, if you listen to the science I just told you, it's a pretty solid claim. It makes your tissues, or at least a proportion of your tissues, younger than the rest of you. So it can often seem like you could potentially almost age in reverse. And I think you alluded to it earlier, Ian, when you said I'm actually probably looking better physically now than I did when you first met me 10 years ago, to which I would absolutely agree with you. I think I do. Again, not cause and effect, just an association, but a pretty powerful one, I think, nonetheless. So that finishes off the bit about the adult stem cell resources. Can you run out? No. Why do we age then? Because your ability to release them goes down. What does StemEnhance ULTRA do? It reinvigorates your ability to release them, therefore increasing your circulating adult stem cell resources, thereby making it more likely that any tissues needing repair or renewal will benefit from that in that way. Fantastic. Awesome. If that's still not enough, there's another thing that adult stem cells do that most people have no idea about. And most people have no idea about it because this is cutting edge science. This is stuff that's being published this year in the journals. This is ongoing, happening right now stuff. So here it is. Before adult stem cells differentiate into adult cell lines, so before that adult stem cell becomes a new heart cell or a new eyeball cell or whatever, as long as it remains an adult stem cell floating around in your blood, it is able to do this thing where it will exude or produce a bunch of little packages called exosomes. Exosomes. What is that? An exosome is like a mini cell. It doesn't contain any cell organelles. It doesn't contain your DNA. It doesn't turn into a new cell or anything like that. It's just a package of information. It's a first aid kit. What's in it? RNA, DNA, sometimes whole particular proteins, whatever's needed. You know how I said the adult stem cells have these antennae, they know what's going on? When they sense issue, let's say you have some inflammation. Inflammation is happening. The adult stem cells in your blood will sense the chemical markers of inflammation in your body, and they will start producing exosomes, tens of thousands of exosomes every hour, tiny little packages, and they will start exuding these packages out to the tissues. And those packages, those first aid kits, will turn down inflammation, quash the inflammation, quiet it down. Let's say an adult stem cell encounters a tumor, some cancerous material in the body. It can sense that too, and instead of sending a care package that says, be well, get better, it sends a different kind of package. And the package it will send to cancer tissues is, number one, stop with all that cell division. Number two, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Cancer Cell, off you pop.
Wow.
Adult stem cells can do that without differentiating into anything. I mean, we know that adult stem cells can turn into, directly, they can become immune cells that will attack cancer tissue. We know that. But what we didn't know is that adult stem cells, before they even do that, are already on it with these exosomes. They are exuding these things at a rate, as I say, tens of thousands of these things every hour. They really are the most incredible things I've ever heard of in physiology, frankly. And that's, coming from a scientist that's been involved with physiology for the best part of a quarter of a century. And that's pretty much, this year type research. So that's exciting stuff. And exosomes is a word that you will hear often and more often ongoingly, because exosomes are thought to be involved in viral pathology as well. A virus is able to hijack the exosomes of a given cell in order to transport itself around and to infect a body and to cross-infect other bodies. So you will hear the term exosomes at some point over the next 12 to 18 months, I will say, if you haven't already heard it. The good news is, though, the exosomes that are produced by adult stem cells are the good guys. They do good stuff. They turn down inflammation. They quiet inflammation down. They fix up imbalances. They kill off cancer cells. They're incredible.
Wow, but Bart, this is just so cutting edge information that most of us have never heard of before. Just because you're a nutritional scientist, we're getting this cutting edge stuff from you. It's remarkable. Now, so why don't you touch upon the other products real quick, and then we'll start wrapping up if you don't mind. So
sure, of course, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we all know the absolute most important thing is the flagship, the StemEnhance ULTRA. That's the absolute for everybody. I believe basically everybody, pretty much everybody in the world should consider that product there. We've spoken about that at length and what adult stem cells can do for you, etc. already. Great. Sometimes people can have some issues in their body that need additional support, Ian, I guess is the best way to put it. One of the most common issues that we do come across is that whilever we're releasing adult stem cells, those adult stem cells need to be able to access the tissues so that they can do that lock-on thing. And the point at where that lock-on happens is in the very, very thinnest, very most tiny of your blood vessels, your microvasculature, that are only sort of a few blood cells across, or even a single blood cell and single file across. These things are tiny, and you need the room for the adult stem cells to go through those very small blood vessels. Unfortunately, when you are inflamed, or if you have some kind of invading pathogenic organism in your body of some kind, or if you become injured or any of these kind of things, that tells your body to set off a process of inflammation. And one of the side effects of that inflammation is that there is a plasma-borne protein, which is called fibrin, basically. And it will drop out of the plasma and become a sticky, glue-like, spider-webby blockage in the fine vessels, which will still allow the blood fluid to flow through there, but it blocks everything else off. Because what we're trying to achieve here is we're trying to stop this invading pathogen from getting access to all the other tissues in the body. We're trying to lock it down so that we can nuke it where it is, sort of thing. So your body will drop fibrin into your small veins. That's great. It's your body's supposed to do that. It's indicated, it's useful, it has a purpose. The problem is that most of us now lead lifestyles that we don't have a bit of inflammation now and then. We have chronic inflammation all the time. And that means our blood vessels are often blocked up all the time with fibrin, which means, number one, we can't actually even get red blood cells to a lot of our tissues. So our tissues are starving a bit. But it also means we can't get those adult stem cells there either. So if we're investing, as we should, in releasing the stem cells into our blood, then it's probably a pretty good idea to invest in ourselves enough to say, well, let's make sure the blood can get there. So this is a product called Plasma Flow. It's an enzyme-based preparation. What does it do? It dissolves fibrin. Fantastic. So 2 of those once a day. It says taken best with food, I believe, or something on the label. I found it makes no difference. I found it very effective whenever you take them. I take them in the morning. Once a day, 2 of those. So that's Plasma Flow. Then, since we all live highly inflammatory lifestyles, or most of us do, why not take an anti-inflammatory as well? Well, I'll tell you why not, because most anti-inflammatories of a pharmaceutical nature are very, very hard on your body. They're very toxic. They have side effects. They're not good long-term. Shouldn't do it. Here's one that has none of those problems. Look at that. It's called Cyactive. This is powdered Smurfs, Ian. That's what that is. powdered Smurfs. No, it's not really. It's a blue pigment that is extracted from another blue-green cyanobacter. It's related to AFA. Happens to be spirulina, actually, which you've probably all heard of. It's not whole spirulina, though. It's a specific extract. It's the blue-green pigment. It turns out that it is anti-inflammatory on 2 different inflammatory pathways. For those that are interested, it's the COX-2 and the LOX-5 pathways. So that will blockade further inflammation. So as a holy trinity, I guess, you would say release the stem cells, anti-inflammatories to stop fibrin from developing too much, and if there is any fibrin, get rid of it. Wellness packet of 3, cheapest way to do it. Do that on auto ship, obviously, because you get a decent discount by doing it on auto ship. And if you want it even cheaper than that, get 3 preferred customers, put them on a wellness pack, and yours is free. Free. Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah. So that's the 3 main oral supplement products. There is a 4th product there. It's called Cyactive Joint, unless you're in the UK, in which case it's called Cyactive Flex for some reason. Okay, fine. That is based on the normal Cyactive, but also it's got other things in it like eggshell membranes and other various herbal things, or herbal things if you're American. That's specifically formulated for joints, connective tissues. So if you've got joint issues, rheumatic issues, that kind of thing, you would substitute that one for the standard Cyactive, basically. Those are our oral supplement products. There's also a fantastic range of skincare products, which I would absolutely warmly endorse as fantastic as well. So there you go.
Well, Bart, I mean, what incredible, knowledgeable, in-depth information you've just given all of us on the product that has got a different twist. It's just deeper than what we've ever heard before. Totally marvelous. You really are brilliant. And I know, thank you. You're a treasure. And we're so blessed to have you with Cerule. You're changing lives all the time. And I know you're going to Chairman's Club. Thank you, Bart. And thank you, everyone around the world. And we will all be back soon. Bye.
See ya.